Okay, welcome to the Flex Rental Solutions webinar. Today we're going to be looking at a new feature that was added in the recent release of 4.10.3. This is a request that we had gotten from several customers that will now allow you to order the way that your workflow actions appear when you're in different elements. So for example, right now I am in a quote that is currently in the inquiry status. And if I were to hit, say for example, confirm quote, I won't send it to the users this time. The new workflow options that appear in the past have always been ordered somewhat randomly. When you go into the workflow, the quote and confirmed workflow, it would always just kind of place any of the actions that you created in a random order, and therefore the random order would be reflected on the quote. A lot of people didn't like this because a lot of times you would have certain things like, I created this as a custom workflow action to generate a pull sheet and an invoice at the same time, but some people were saying that the generate invoice would be at the top and cancel would be somewhere in the middle, inquiry would be at the bottom. So people just wanted a way to be able to organize those so that the order made a little bit more sense in terms of how the workflow process is actually working. So let's show how you can now order those workflow actions. If you go to your projects menu and go to workflow, and we're working on the quote workflow for this webinar, so we'll double click on quote workflow. And we're looking at the confirmed workflow, so we'll double click on confirmed. So now you'll notice that it looks a little bit different than it did in the past. Before it was just an HTML interface look with, when you hovered over, it would underline and you can click in to each workflow action to change the jobs and actions that occur when you click on that. Now it's more of a drag and drop flash interface where you can take any of the outflow options, drag, and then you can see the line where it's going to drop. So maybe we would want to put generate pull sheet and invoice near the bottom or in the very bottom, and just order it to make a little bit more sense in terms of how people are actually going to be using the workflow. Maybe put cancel at the very bottom. So after you do that, of course, make sure that we click update. You can also do this, I should mention, with the inflow, although there's never really a time that you're going to be seeing the inflow options in the Flex UI. This is the reason that we show the inflow, is just to show all of the different actions that can get you to this state. So you can organize these if you want, but really there's no place that it's visible in Flex besides right here. So you don't really need to, but that option is there if you want. So I believe we did click update. Let me just verify. Now let's go back to this quote, and first let's just reset it to inquiry, so then that way we can have the confirm quote workflow option back. So now we'll click confirm quote. Again, we won't send it to these users on the distribution list. And so now, when we're in the confirm state, you can see that the workflow actions or the workflow options here now reflect the way that we ordered it when we were in the workflow settings. And of course you can do this with any of your workflows. So we could go into the invoice workflow. It looks like this one doesn't have a lot of options, so maybe let's try, let's go back to the main page. Maybe something like the pull sheet workflow, your quick quotes, etc., or your events. And remember, you have to actually double click into the workflow state to be able to access that. There it goes. Okay, so that's how you can now change the order of your workflow actions that will reflect in the actual element that those workflow actions are are options for. Again, it just makes it a lot easier and a little bit, especially for some of our customers that have a lot of custom workflow actions, it just makes it a little bit easier and more organized to help users get through those workflow actions. If you have any questions about this or any other questions at all, please email support@flexrentalsolutions.com.